name is Sharon, and welcome again to Health Talk. Today we have a special guest, Dr. Sonia Carroll, and we are so blessed and so pleased to have her on with us today. She knows everything about the body, inside out, very educated. So if you're looking for someone for consultation, do not hesitate to contact Dr. Carroll. She have a lot of knowledge and wisdom about women's health. So our topic today is on women's health. We look at depression, anxiety, irritability, insomnia, candida. We look at infections, stress. We'll look at exhaustion, panic attack, unable to relax. And these are just some of the illnesses that we as women suffer, and we'll see how we can cope and how we can eliminate some of these illnesses. So let's start off with stress and anxiety. Let's look at some of the symptoms. Tightening of the stomach muscles, which causes nausea and digestive problems, increase in blood pressure, sweaty palms, tense muscles, negative thoughts, becoming withdrawn, headaches. These are some of the symptoms that we experience when we are under such anxiety and stress and nervousness. And some of the causes are deadlines, especially deadlines at work, problems at home, problems at work, pain, overworked, lack of sleep, smoking, alcohol, guilt, stress, taking care of kids or elderly parents at home, financial issues, loss of a loved one. Stress will give you any illness if not managed. It will lower your immune system, as a result, putting you at risk for cancer, heart problems, infections, viruses. We all experience stress from time to time, but prolonged stress is dangerous. Anytime your body experiences stress, your adrenal glands will secrete adrenal and cortisol hormones, which can increase your sugar level, your blood pressure, resulting in insomnia, stress, and many other illnesses. So let's give Dr. Carroll a time to comment on some of these illnesses and the effects of them.
Okay, there seems to be a commonality between all of those, and we'll try to address them or approach them from the foundation. All of them seem to deal with the mind, the brain, our approach to life, our disposition, the way that we handle situations, our environment, our interaction. So say for instance, you mentioned work stress and the work or taking care of elderly parents. And so this has an underlining, an undertone of time management. So if you do not plan, say you have an exam coming up and you do not study and you do not plan, when it comes, you will be anxious because you're not prepared. And therefore you will have anxiety attacks. And it's the same way with life in general. If we manage our time, if we plan, you know, whether it is your finances, your budget, whether it is your day, you have a to-do list for the day and you go through it so that you are in control. When you're not in control and you're just reacting to things as they happen, then you feel out of control, and then anxiety, and then all these palpitations and all these things that you listed. But again, where is the center of our control? The center of our control is our brain. Our brain. So we have to therefore approach it from brain health. What is the health of your brain like? Because this is your coping mechanism. This is a physical part of it. So we have to look at what foods do the brain need for optimum health and proper functioning, effective functioning and processing, because the brain is the one that gives commands to all the other organs in the body. So if you're having digestive problems, there's some breaking communication between the brain and your stomach, or your brain and your heart, or your brain and your kidneys, or your brain and your colon. So we have to look at brain health. So I guess as we go on in our discourse, we look at what are the foods, the elements that are necessary for brain health. If the brain is well nourished, it is well fed, and if we plan and we manage our time and we do those things, you know, that would enhance calmness, and those things that would enhance control, then a lot of those symptoms will disappear. And a lot of them to a diet related. One
Yeah.
fundamental thing that we have to remember, everything we eat or drink, everything we smell, and everything we put on our skin affect our brain functions, and it affect our mood, it affect our cognitive abilities, ability to think and react, etc. Everything you eat or drink, everything you smell, and everything that touches your skin, because those go through the blood brain barrier. We have to look again at the blood. How healthy is your blood? And your blood constitutes what you eat, what it gets from the diet, because the blood goes through the entire system. It feeds the brain, it feeds all the organs. So it is really diet related, it is really time management related, it is really a matter of control over your environment, your interactions, your associations, and circumstances, as opposed to always reacting and having those negative breakdowns.
Yep. Yep. Very good. Very good. Okay. Let's get into some treatments. Find out what is the underlying problem, because sometimes we experience symptoms and we don't know what is the root of it, or sometimes we are so depressed, we are so anxious, and we don't even know the root cause. So it's very important to find out what is the underlying problem. Talk to someone that you can trust, someone that you can confide in. Replace negative thoughts with positive ones. Have a good cry if you have to. Okay, let's look at drinking adequate amount of water, 6 to 8 glasses a day. And some people may think, well, that's not important. Yes, it is important. The body needs water. And if the body is dehydrated, many symptoms can occur from that. Exercise, especially exercising outdoors in the sunlight. Sunlight is very good for depression. It suppresses melatonin production. Whole foods like plant-based foods are very important. Get adequate rest. Go to bed before midnight, at least 2 to 3 hours before midnight. Spend time in nature. Go for a walk. Go hiking. Do gardening. How about trying vitamin B complex? Magnesium, flaxseed, trace mineral, St. John worts. These are some herbs that we can try, and we'll see what input the Dr. Carol have to add to that.
Okay, so that was quite a mouthful you gave us. Let me see if I remember them, and we can go through them one at a time. Okay, so let's look at the brain. The brain, I think you dealt with hydration. You touched on
As the
hydration and the
first
amount
one,
of
yeah.
water that we should drink daily, right? And hydration is key, because our brain is 73% water, and you have to keep up that hydration level. And the first thing to be affected in the body by dehydration is the brain. It starts to shrink, and that's why we start getting headaches, and we start getting confused, and we cannot focus, and we cannot concentrate. They say those that are dehydrated cannot do math, because it calls for a lot of hard concentration and focus for a long time. So the hydration is key to keep your brain healthy. What are some of the other elements that the brain needs? Now, we know fundamentally that we came from the dirt. We were made from the dust of the ground, for those that believe in the creation story, as I do. And therefore all the elements in the ground are all the elements in our body, but certain different organs, different parts of the body have a concentration of one element over the other. Say, for instance, your teeth and your bones, we know, are mostly calcium. And the brain, what does it need? Okay, the brain needs phosphorus, the brain needs calcium, the brain needs potassium, the brain needs magnesium, and the brain needs fatty acids, particularly omega-3 fatty acids. So to keep your brain in optimum health and effective functioning all the time, you have to make sure you have a diet that regularly feeds the brain these things that it needs. Potassium, you get from bananas, from cantaloupe, etc. The fatty acids, walnut. The walnut looks like the brain. God made it in such a way that you look at nature and you can see what organs they look like and what organs they feed. So the walnut looks like the brain because it has those fatty acids that the brain needs. The avocado has it too. The coconut oil has it to the coconut. So these three things are very nourishing to the brain in terms of the fatty acids. We need that to cover the sheath in the brain and for electrical communication between the brain and the other parts of the body, the different organs it all communicates with. Okay, so magnesium, and magnesium we can get from foot soaks, in Epsom salt.
Yeah.
All these are important elements for the brain, and we must make sure that we have foods that regularly feed, the brain to keep it healthy. If there's a deficiency, it will manifest itself in memory loss, in confusion, in forgetfulness. So we have to be aware of those things that affect the brain and the needs of the brain, so that we feed the brain what it needs. I think we went through magnesium. Now, some of the things that affect the brain, I think you went through some of them. You said oxygen, and through exercise, right? You recommended going outside and exercise, and that's so very important. Exercise, again, is important for the brain. If there is a saying, when you move, the brain grooves. Movement is important. Why? Because when you exercise, it allows you to breathe deeper, and therefore there's more oxygen, more blood circulation, better blood circulation, more oxygen going up to the brain. And therefore, with that infusion of blood and fresh oxygen, again, the brain is fed and it becomes more alert. It awakens the brain so that you can think better, you become more alert. You mentioned, I think, rest, sleep, and that is so very important for brain health. You have to get adequate rest every night, particularly 2 or 3 hours before midnight, because these are the hours when the body detoxifies, when the brain detoxifies, when maintenance goes on and repair. And if you do not get those hours in, it is said again that 1 hour before midnight is worth 2 hours after midnight. If you do not get that adequate rest, then you have a buildup of toxicity in the body because you have not given the body the time and the rest that it needed to detoxify again. When you are asleep, your brain shrinks so that fluids can flow through the brain more freely to detoxify it and to replenish it. Everything slows down when you're sleeping. Your digestion slows down, your breathing slows down, your heart rate slows down. Everything slows down and the brain shrinks to allow a better circulation of the oxygen and the fluids in the body and the blood so that the brain can detoxify. And that is when the brain reorganizes things and it sifts through things and deciphers things, and it deals with memory packaging. This is for long-term memory, this is for short-term memory, etc. So sleep, adequate sleep is very important. Now, insomnia is one of the things that you mentioned. If you have insomnia, you're not sleeping properly, you're not getting adequate sleep every night. You have to look at what are the underlying causes. As you said, we always go to the causes. That's the only way you can address issues long term. Not addressing the symptoms, but the causes. Are you going to bed too late? Are you going to bed with food in your stomach? That disturbs your sleep. That will give you insomnia, because the blood is directed from the brain and the detoxifying, etc., the maintenance that should go on to the stomach to digest that food that is there. Are you overeating? If you're eating too frequently, or too much overeating, this would disturb your sleep again, because the body is constantly working. Are you going to sleep with light in your room? That disturbs you. That's not how nature works. At night, the sun and there is darkness because we need darkness to sleep. So no light should be in your room. Sleep in darkness. The temperature of your room, between 70-75 degrees, the highest, should be cool, so that you can rest properly. If you're too hot or you're too cold, that will disturb your sleep. If you have electronics in your room, your telephone is there, your cell phone is there, your computer is in there, a television is in there, all those things emit frequencies and radiation that interfere and interrupt our own body's frequencies, so then you have to get all those electronics out of your room. so that you can have a restful night, nothing to disturb your sleep. And you do not want to go to sleep dehydrated, because a lot of processes take place while we are sleeping, and the body needs the hydration to carry out those processes. There are many things that you can do to enhance your sleep. uh, um, Quiet time just before bedtime. Shut down everything. You're going to bed by 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, 10 the latest. An hour before, you take your warm shower, you start shutting off everything, your television, shut down everything, take away the electronics from your room, put away your phone, etc. And you can have a diffuser in your room. You can put on lavender in the diffuser, or if not, just take the bottle, put it under your nose and sniff it, breathe it in, and that calms the system. You can have a cup of mint tea, a cup of chamomile tea. You can have some valerian root or some of the herbs and treatments that you mentioned for insomnia. These things would calm the body. These things would relax it. CBD is very relaxing. It does not have the active ingredient like marijuana. These are two different things altogether. CBD relaxes you so that you get a better night's sleep. You can do the teas, you can do the herbs before bed, an hour before, so it does not disturb your sleep in terms of urination. But there are many things that you can do to enhance your sleep, in terms of going to sleep with an empty stomach, in terms of your lighting, in terms of the herbs, in terms of the essential oils, a massage. You can do your own massage with, essential oil. Just rub yourself and relax yourself, or soak in your bathtub, in some Epsom salt, some eucalyptus oil, whatever. Many things we can do to enhance. But sleep is very important. Whatever you have to do to enhance your sleep, you do it. You have to do it. And whatever you have to do to adequate hydration, you do it. These are very important for brain health. These are very important for all of those disorders that we have mentioned. And how do you hydrate? You had said 6 to 8 glasses a day. A rule of thumb is about half your body weight. I'm 120 ounces, 120 pounds. Half of that is about 60 ounces of fluid. If you drink only water, then 60 ounces of water. You can mix it with teas. You can mix it with juicing if you juice fresh vegetables, carrots and celery, etc. But at least you get your adequate hydration. And you do not just gulp down a whole glass of water one time. I have my water and I'm sipping all day. Every 15 minutes, you take four ounces, the equivalent of about 2 mouthfuls or 4 mouthfuls. If you're very active and you're sweating and you're outside exercising or you're gardening, etc., like I garden a lot, then you can up it, so that you make up for the extra sweat and additional activity. So we have to watch hydration. We have to watch the foods that we eat, and we have to feed the brain. It needs those nutrients and those elements for proper health and functioning. And we have to watch our sleep. We have to watch exercise so that we have a constant flow of fresh blood and oxygen going to the brain. All of these are very important. And one or two other things, if you would permit me, that I would like to mention too. We have to keep our brains active. We have to keep we cannot just be sitting in front of a television for 4-6 hours a day. This is so passive. Somebody else is feeding you and in control of your thoughts and in control of your brain. You have to keep active. You have to read. You have to do word puzzles. Learn something new. Often then learn music if you always wanted to do it. Learn a new instrument or a language. Learn French, learn Spanish, do something new. Try gardening, something new, so that you wake up your brain. It is more engaged, it is more involved when you're learning something new. Another thing that we can do again is do things with your left hand. I'm right-handed. Do things with your left hand. So you eat with your left hand. You try to brush your teeth with your left hand. You try to comb your hair and brush your hair with your left hand, so that you activate the right side of your brain. Because if you do everything with your right hand, and the right side it's only the left side of your brain is engaged, and that one is always dormant. So you're activating more of your brain cells if you try to do things with your left hand often then. So there are many things that we can do for brain health. The brain likes also regularity. Do things on time. That's why I mentioned before, planning. So you get up at a certain time, you go to bed at a certain time, you have your meals a certain time, you have your work a certain time, you do things on schedule. The brain does not like haphazardness. You eat breakfast 9 o'clock to this morning, 10 o'clock next morning, none at all the next morning, and then next day it may be noon, and next day maybe 6 o'clock because you have to catch a flight early. No, the brain does not like that. It likes regularity. All of the body likes regularity and likes to work on schedule. That's the way we were made to work. There's something called the circadian rhythm in our body. We were made that way. And when we do not follow it, there are consequences to that. We compromise our brain, we confuse the brain, we congest it, and therefore our memory is affected. Now, some of us, when we get older, ladies, we start having memory issues. Some, our parents saw Alzheimer's, dementia. A lot of these things are related to mineral deficiencies. It is proven that most people with those degenerative brain diseases, they are deficient in calcium and their aluminum deposits in the brain. So they use antiperspirants that have aluminum in it, or they cook in aluminum foil or wrap up their food in aluminum foil, or they use things that have aluminum. They use a lot of canned foods, because the food would soak up that thing, especially juices like pineapple and so in cans, these soak up the aluminum from that tin. So you have to be careful. These things affect the functioning of your brain. So you have to accustom yourself to eat fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. Avoid things that have aluminum in them. Avoid things that are canned in them, because these things interrupt and interfere with your memory. Now I'll pause here and let you go, and then I'll come back with a few of them.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Carol, because it's going to be a challenge for me. I definitely have to practice that one because I'm right-handed as well. And I will have to learn using my left hand to do to eating and probably brush my teeth, start slow and then work my way up. Thank you so much for that informative information. And again, we can see staying away from junk food, staying away from caffeine, staying away from tobacco, known to induce depression. So if Dr. Carol want to add to that?
Yes, because you call it junk food. We call it in our natural world, we call it non-foods. Because they're so devoid of nutrients. They have no nutrients at all. So you are stressing the body to process it because you eat it. It's in the mouth, it's in the stomach. It has to do something with it. So you're stressing the body to process it, but yet still the body is not benefiting from it. It does not nourish the body. It's a non-food. Anything that is processed, anything that is refined, anything in a package, anything in a can, these are processed foods. These are a compromise. They have little nutritional value. They are not nourishing you. So it could be eaten, but not nourishing. Your motto should be high in nutrients, low in calories. High in nutrients, low in calories. These non-foods or these junk foods are high in calories, but they're low in nutrients or no nutrients whatsoever. You have to eat live food. We are live people, and only life can keep life. Dead food, these are dead foods. They have been processed, and the enzymes and the nutrients have been killed by that high heat, and therefore it stresses your body, causes a lot of acid and inflammation to digest those things in the system, because they do not have the live enzymes in them to assist the body in digesting them. And that's one of the other issues with people with degenerative diseases and that affect your memory and dementia and Alzheimer's. These people, the systems are acidic and high in inflammation. So we have to watch what are the things that cause inflammation in the system. And a lot of it is overcooked food, processed foods, refined foods. And you mentioned sugar. Sugar ferments. It causes acid. It causes inflammation. We have to keep sugar on the low. If we should eat sugar, it should be the natural cane sugar, which is sucanat in the purest form, or molasses without sulfur, or pure raw honey, or pure maple syrup. But everything else that is refined, it causes inflammation. And inflammation, that's a conducive environment for diseases, for degeneration in the system. It suppresses the immune system, and it makes you succumb to infection and viruses and diseases more easily, makes you more susceptible to those things. And when your immune system is suppressed, and therefore your mood is affected. And you find that if you go outside and you exercise and you hydrate properly and you're eating live food, you're more energized, your mood, you're up. And if you go to the sun, I remember you mentioned sunlight, vitamin D, very important. You go outside and the sun shines on you and you feel the heat of the sun on you. That alone lifts your spirit. We need the sunlight. This is where serotonin, this is where melatonin is produced, and we need that for sleep. This is what puts us to sleep at night. So sunlight is very, very important for all the body processes, not just sleep, for digestion, for elimination, for healing, for repair. So we have to be aware again of those things, and do those things regularly that would energize the brain, that would feed the brain, and stay away from those things that are harmful, those things that would suppress it and suppress our mood. And you mentioned also the B vitamins, very good for the brain. If you should do supplementation, one of it should be the vitamin B complex, particularly vitamin B3, which is called niacin, and you can get that over the counter, or from a natural health store. Many times when people suffer from depression or anxiety or so, and they put them just on niacin, which is a natural product, they're healed, because that deficiency, that mineral, causes an imbalance in the brain and short circuits, and so vitamin B complex, particularly vitamin B3, niacin, would address a lot of those degenerative diseases and those things that affect the mood, and depression and so.
Yep. And just to add to that, we have some more herbs. We have ginkgo, we have echinacea, we have valerium, we have dunquin, we have millberry, mill thistle, catnip, caramel, hops. Okay, you can either take these herbs separately or you combine 2 or 3 together. And these are very calming, very relaxing herbs that you can try. Okay, again, we have burdock, we have ginger, we have golden seal, bee pollen, we have kelp, we have psyllium husk, slippery elm, passion flower. So all of these that herbs that you can look into and you can try. Okay, I don't know if Dr. Carol has anything to add to that, or any more herbs, or if I've left out any.
Turmeric is a good one. It's a blood thinner, so if you're on a blood thinner, you want to stay away from it. Because turmeric will keep the inflammation down. Ginger will do the same thing too. And ginger would also enhance circulation. So we have more blood and more oxygen going up to the brain. So these are good ones to add to that arsenal that would contribute to healthy brain, to healthy thinking. Many times people say, I have poor memory. There's nothing like poor memory. There's trained memory and untrained memory. So you have not trained your brain, to think, the proper way. And you mentioned before negativity. A lot of people, they dwell on the past and they dwell on negative experiences, and they cannot let go of guilt, and they cannot let go of people that offended them or did wrong to them. All those negative things affect your brain, literally short circuits the electricity flow in your brain. We have to let go of negativity, negative thoughts. Every time you find yourself thinking negative, going back to a bad past experience or a bad person or a bad environment, capture it and reroute your thinking and think positive. Try and dwell on things that are positive, things that are uplifting, things that improve you, that will lift your spirit and edify you. Repeat text, Bible text, start singing, lively songs. But yes, we are in control of our brains. We should not allow it to just go awry. That's one thing that we can control. Be in control of your thoughts at all time, ready, Al. Don't let them control you or just go astray like this. Be in control and keep it thinking on positive things. And you let your association be positive. If you have people that are always negative every time you're in the companies, always gossiping and always, discontent and complaining, avoid those associations. They're depressing to you. And they again channel your thoughts in a negative way. Associate yourself with people that are lively and people that are optimistic and people that are, ambitious and people that are, working and people that are alert and that will lift you up.
Yep. Yep.
Environment. If you go to a bar, you go to certain places, it's all negativity, it's cursing and profanity. Just avoid those things and just fill your life and surround yourself with healthy, positive environment, healthy, positive association, healthy, positive thoughts. Be in control of your thoughts. That is you. You have that control. Don't give the control of your mind to nobody at all. Nobody at all. When you put drugs in there, you have lost control. Somebody else, some other thing,
And you
some other
become a
spirit is
slave.
in control
And
of
you
your
become a
mind and
slave
your
to that.
thoughts. Like, you could become a slave to that. And that's why people go suicidal, because another voice, another spirit, evil is now in control and talking to you. So you have to be in control of your thoughts at all times and let it dwell on things that are positive, things that are uplifting. Put on music and listen to it. When you go for your walks, take Earl Nightingale, just positive people, and listen to the videos and let them lift you and let them energize you,
Very,
but
very
don't let your thoughts stray, and then let nothing or nobody be in control of your mind. That is your sacred spot.
yeah.
Your mind. Be always in control of your mind.
Okay, and a lot of the viewers have requested candida infection, which a lot of women have complaints with, and a lot of women have suffered. So some of the treatments we have is vitamin A, vitamin E, garlic, which is very good. Um, Stay away from dairy products, um, natural probiotics that you can use, aloe vera juice. Probably take about 4 ounces, um, 4 times or twice for the day. Do not use sugar. Again, stay away from foods that are sugary. Cheese, alcohol, meats, pickles, raw mushrooms. Mushrooms you can have, but don't eat mushrooms raw. Again, garlic is very good. Onions, cranberries, coconut water has worked very good for me. In my opinion, I put coconut water over cranberries. Avoid antibiotics. Wear cotton underwears. If you have to do a sit bath, do a sit bath over douching. That's how I look at it, in my opinion. But I don't know what Dr. Carol has to say on that.
Okay, right. You gave quite a bit there. Let me see if how much of it I remember. You mentioned cotton underwears, and I
Underwears.
agree with you. And I'll take it a step further. Cotton, because you can breathe down there, and not only cotton but white. I only wear white underwears, only white, because the colors do affect you. The colors do affect you. Your skin absorbs. Remember, I said anything you eat or drink, anything you smell, anything that touches your skin, or goes on your skin, it affects you. It affects your brain. It affects your mood, colors. It affects you. So I only wear white underwears and cotton underwears so that my skin can breathe. It needs to breathe down there. Our vaginas need to breathe. And some people, they have candida because they're always wearing pants and tight pants, particularly the teenagers,
Yeah.
the young, always. So there's never no air going through there. They need to wear some skirts sometimes, or
Hygiene.
be
Yeah.
loose sometimes. Sometimes you need to go to bed with no underwear at all. Let it breathe sometimes. You mentioned garlic, which is good. And I've recommended over and over again. And every time, but people have told me it worked for me. Thank you so much. Not only take the garlic internally, but what you do is for a whole week, you take the garlic, 1 clove, you just hit it a bit, not to crush it, just to blister it so that it releases the anicillin in there. And then when you go to bed after you have showered and do all your devotion and put on your night clothes, etc., when you're lying in bed, you have that garlic in a napkin. When you're lying down, you take it out of the skin and you insert it in your vagina as far as you can go. You insert it and you sleep with it overnight. And then in the morning, when you get up and go to the bathroom and you sit in the toilet, it will just naturally drop off. It will drop off. If it doesn't drop off, then just put your finger up and take it out. But you do that for a week every night, and it does heal the candida. It does kill the bacteria down there. It's a disinfectant. Garlic is very potent. It's
Oh,
very good.
yeah.
So you can take it internally, but you can also take it externally. You can insert it in their vagina. Another thing that people have to watch too, especially young folks again that wear tampons and even sometimes some pads. If you
Oh,
can
yeah.
get the organic
Scented.
pads and organic tampons, better for you, because these things, you read the labels on it, these things have chemicals. And I remember one lady was giving the testimony. She said she was wearing those tampons, she was wearing those pads. She's a teacher. She teaches, she's at school all day. She has her period, her menstruation, she has to be clean and smell clean, and she said she used to be so sick, excruciating pain every month, excruciating pain, until she learned that these things have chemicals in them, and some of them are bleached. And she said she never watched the ingredients. Why would I watch the ingredients on pads, on the ingredients on tampons? And she just thought they were all the same. And when she watched it, then she realized that these things have chemicals, and she stopped using them. And she started looking for organic ones. And she said, it's difficult to get, but if you search enough, you can get it. And or she said she started making her own. And she said, would you know, from the first time she stopped using them, she has had no more menstrual pains, no more. And she saw such excruciating cramps and pains. It was the chemicals in those things that was being absorbed that was giving her those pains. And I know that's another women's issue. It was not on the list, but it came in, as a side issue in Candida. Candida likes sugar. It feeds on sugar. So if you have Candida, you should be very low on sugar. Cut it out until the Candida is cured. Even the
Stay
sweet
away
fruits
from
you
it
should stay away
permanently.
from. And
Stay away from it permanently.
yes,
It works. It works.
sugar, yes,
Yes.
in general, sugar and even the sweet fruits. While you are experiencing that problem, you should go more on the citrus and the acid fruits. But sugar is a culprit in feeding it, because what happens with Candida is in the fungus family, and therefore there's an overgrowth of the bad bacteria in the gut. Your body is too acidic. There's an overgrowth of the bad bacteria, so you have lost the balance between the good and the bad bacteria in your gut, and therefore it manifests itself in Candida, and sometimes a slush on your tongue, etc. Or some people have the sores by the mouth or in the throat. They have the Candida all in the throat, etc. So you have to correct the gut balance. So you want to go on a probiotics also. You want to go on or get plain yogurt that is non-dairy, or get something like sauerkraut, or one of those things that are fermented to regain the balance. Yeah, exactly. To regain the gut balance there between the good and the what you call flora and fauna, the good and the bad bacteria. But it is an imbalance of those things. So unless you take out the sugar that feeds it, you increase your fiber intake, you go on a probiotic supplement, you do the garlic and increase in garlic both internally and externally. You have to do those things, but this thing is very aggressive, and you have to be aggressive with it too, and stay on it until you get rid of it, until you rid the system, because you can keep on.
And to flush your
Yes,
system
you can do a detoxing too. Yes, you can do a detox too, which is very good. You can go on a fast, and you can, and during the fast, you can have just water or put lemon in your water for a day or two, or you can do it juicing, juice carrots, do with celery and some cucumbers. You can put some a little piece of ginger in there, and also garlic in there, and you can go on a juice fast for a week. And some lemon too to make it more palatable. You can do all the greens and squeeze a little lemon in there, a little bit of ginger and a little bit of garlic in there. A juice fast is very good to rid the system of all those fungal things and all that excess sugar that's feeding it.
And it
You were
works.
saying something?
Now I said it works. It definitely works.
It does work.
Right? And it
Yes.
works. Some of you are suffering from sleeping problems, hops, chamomile, and you can probably try out massages or hydrotherapy. These are things again that you can try and see how they will work. You wouldn't know not until you try. So let's look at a Bible text, Isaiah 40:10. Stop being anxious and watchful, for I am your God. I give you strength. I give you help. I uphold you with my victorious right hand. And sometimes we just have to relax, let go, and just let God take over. And as we just lay it at his feet, and he will take over. His promises are sure, his promises are real, and he will take us through. I don't know if Dr. Carol has anything to add.
Yes, that is so, so important. That's the source of my strength. Everybody have their faith. Everybody have what they believe in. I can only share my testimony, the source of my strength. My strength, that's God. I do not know how people do without him. The anchor for me is in the Lord. The anchor for me is in the Lord. I trust him. I know that he created me. I know that he loves me. I know he says, casting all your care upon me, for I care for you. I will take care of you. He said, don't be anxious, as you said. Don't worry about your food and your dress. If we trust him, he's faithful and he will do what he has promised, but we have to believe it. We have to believe it. That is why I flood my mind with scripture. I flood my mind with hymns and songs and I sing them. And if I get a little anxious, I get a little nervous or feel out of control, because life goes on. A lot of curveballs will always come our way, a lot of twists and bends, unexpected things. But you have to have that anchor in the Lord. That's where you get your source. That's where I get my source of strength to go on, knowing and believing that he'll come through. And he always comes through on time. He may delay, but he knows best. He knows best. He knows what's best for us, and he knows when it is best and how it is best. We just have to learn to trust him. Trust him and stop all the worrying. Worrying has never solved the problem. And most times we worry, the problem does not even, yes, the problem does not even happen, or does not even happen the way we expected. And we have wasted so much brain energy and so much health and
domino effect,
indigestion and everything.
It's a domino effect.
Exactly, it's a domino effect.
It leads to depression, leads to anxiety, and then it's like a domino effect.
Right. Yeah, indigestion, and then sometimes your bowel movement is compromised, everything. So just relax and just trust the Lord and let him work it out. Believe it and he will do it. Just try him, challenge him. He likes it when we trust in him and when we challenge him, and he will prove to us that he is God and he is in control, no matter what man is doing, no matter what men say. Stop flooding yourself with all that TV propaganda, that TV that's instilling fear in you. Use that time instead you looking at the TV, use that time in the word of God and flood your mind with the promises of God, that he's in control, he's in charge. He puts up men and he puts down them. He puts up kingdoms and he takes them down. So it doesn't matter what they're doing out there. The Lord is in control and he will take care of you if you trust him. This is my anchor. This is my strength, and I'll live by it and I'll die by it.
Yep. Okay. So again, we can see insomnia. We'll just go over it again briefly again. Could be a lack of calcium, magnesium, can cause you to wake up after a few hours, unable to return to sleep. Let breakfast and lunch be your main meal. Very light suppers at night. You can include figs, dates, whole grain crackers promote sleep. Avoid cheese, bacon, chocolate, ham, sausages, wine before going to bed. Do not eat eggplant, potatoes, sugar, or spinach, tomatoes before bed. They contain tyramine, which increase the release of norepinephrine, a brain stimulant. Foods that keep people awake, fatty foods, sugar. I just want to emphasize that again. White flour, salt, MSG, preservatives, additives. All of these will keep you awake. All of these will have effects on your health. We'll go over to Dr. Carol.
Yes, I want to pick up on one thing that you said. You were talking about the meals, and I would like to zero in on that a little. When we wake up in the body, our digestive juices are the strongest. Upon rising until about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, it starts waning. And that's when we should do all our heavy eating. That's when our digestive juices are the strongest. Again, you follow nature. That's how nature works. The sun is going down, everything is going to sleep, and your body is preparing for sleep, and everything gets weaker and everything gets less. So your breakfast should be the heaviest. You have fasted about 10, 12 hours, and you need the fuel for your day's activities. So your breakfast should be your heaviest. That's an important meal. You should not be skipping breakfast, because then you'll be working and you'll be operating on an empty tank and stressing out the organs. And if you do not give it the fuel it needs, it will start drawing it out. You're not hydrating, it starts drawing it from the joints and wherever water is stored. If your head, that's why you get headaches. Your joints, that's why they get stiff and achy, because it's drawing the water from there if you're not hydrating. So your heavy meal should be your breakfast and your lunch, and light for supper or none at all, because that's when the digestive juices are the strongest. And we should space our meals. Give our stomach at least 5 hours between meals, because that's what it needs for digestion and to empty out and to rest before you work it again. There's a direct correlation between your frequency of eating, the amount of eating, and your longevity. So the more you eat, the more frequent you eat, the less you live, the shorter your lifespan. So you have to be aware of that too. And it's a direct relationship to our weight too. If we are putting in more calories than we are putting out, then we are using up. Of course, your body will store it and you'll have a weight issue. So all of these things that we have to keep in mind. I just wanted to mention or to add to that on the meals, your heaviest meals in during the earlier part of the day when your digestive juices are able to handle it. Some people come home late and they start eating heavy meals, meat. And these things take like 8 hours to digest. And of course, digestion is going on while you are sleeping. You cannot sleep because the body is working and working hard and have to produce a lot of acid
And
to
again, it
digest,
keeps you up,
that
it
meat.
will keep you up,
And it keeps you up. You're restless. And you get up in the morning and you do not feel rested,
or you get up and you're
and
so
you're
hungry.
anxious and you're nervous, irritable. Exactly, you're
You're so
irritable,
hungry.
or you
You
get
get
up and you
up,
feel
yeah,
very hungry, and you think you are hungry, but it's
but
not.
you're
It
not.
is not necessarily hunger. The body is so
No.
wasted because it has worked so hard, during a period of time when it should be resting, when the organs were half awake, and not working effectively, and therefore you feel so wasted and you think you're hungry. But it is rest that the body needs and the organs need, and replenishment so that they can handle the stress and the work that you're putting in them all the time.
Yeah. And again, just to emphasize, exercise during the day, walk before going to bed,
Mm-hmm.
have a hot shower just before getting into bed, go to bed at the same time, if possible. I know it might be hard for some people that have shift work, but if possible, to go to bed at the same time every night. If you cannot sleep, just stay in your bed and just relax. It's just as good um, as sleeping. If you're in bed and you're not falling asleep, avoid caffeine before going to bed. And also, a lot of the viewers has requested restless leg syndrome. It could be that you're lacking calcium, potassium, magnesium, or zinc. Probably supplements of these can help. I don't know if Dr. Carol has anything to add to that.
Yeah, all of these go back again to your mind, the nerves, the brain health, and the nerves, it's just, we just need to calm down. You just need to calm down and be in control and plan and schedule, and feed the brain what it needs, so that it can work efficiently. That's a sign of nervousness and restlessness and not in control. So it goes back again to what we have discussed before: hydration and proper diet, and feeding the brain what it needs, and being in control of your mind, of your thoughts, of your activities, of your schedule, instead of letting the TV do it for you or the emails do it or other people do it for you. Be in control, make your own decisions, with the help of those, that are wiser or better than you, with the help of God, with the help of parents if you're younger, and not, others, and associations, negative associations, so it goes back. All of them are tied in, all of them are related, and common denominator in all of them.
Yep. Okay, and many of these illnesses are brought on by our lifestyle, not having enough sleep, like we said,
Yes.
not eating the right foods, not knowing how to handle stress. And, a lot of people, especially, handle stress. Well, many of us handle stress in various ways, but the key is the way you handle stress. I mean, trying to distress, we are overburdened, we are overworked, don't know how to handle stress, then it gets us so anxious and so worried. So the challenge is being able to keep yourself calm, do your deep breathing exercises, going for a walk, reading a book, play nice music, something that will calm you down, something that will calm your thoughts down. Knowing how to handle stress is the key. Again, if we cut back on sugar, cut back on processed foods, having enough sleep, knowing how to handle stress, will eliminate a lot of these illnesses and a lot of these diseases that we are facing, and as women that we are suffering today. So I give Dr. Carol the last word.
Okay, you mentioned stress a lot. So maybe I'll comment on that briefly. How we manage stress in our life. And that is so very true. Stress is a killer. It's a killer. It suppresses the immune system. It depresses you. It sends you into a dark hole if you do not manage it, as you said, or take care of it. Stress is a part of everyday life. We will face stress, but again, it is how you handle it. It's your approach in life. Some people do not like change, but change is a part of life. So you have, it's your attitude towards life, your attitude towards people. You know, maybe one thing that I could suggest is that you start journaling or chronicling, you know, everything. When you get those anxiety attacks, what triggered it, so that you know what your triggers are. When you feel stressed, what was it? You know, that was it the cooking of the meal? Was it trying to catch a train or the bus? Was it, is your work schedule? Is it the timing? Is somebody at work? You know, what is it that triggers, you know, those anxiety attacks and that restlessness and those negativity, etc. And then when you see it in black and white, then you can address it. And if you cannot address it by yourself, or go through the process of processing it, the process of analyzing it and seeing why, and then eliminating it or addressing it appropriately, then get professional help. You know, get as I said, an older and wiser person that you can sit down and talk to, you know, somebody that you trust, the pastor of your church, a professional counselor. You know, if you have insurance, I can pay for it. But stress is a killer. You need to address it. You need to know how to handle circumstances, how to handle people, how to handle environment, how to handle changes in your life, how to handle the unexpected, a loss of a job, the loss of a loved one, a death in the family. You know, this is part of life. These things will happen, but it's, again, it's your approach, it's your attitude towards it. I'm not making light of it. I've lost a parent, I know. You know, I've lost people dear to me, you know, but then you cannot kill yourself over it. Life continues. Is your approach to it. You could lose a spouse, that's difficult. If you have lived with somebody so many years, and the loneliness, you know, all of a sudden, you know, some people just cannot handle it, but you have to. Life goes on, so you have to learn. So if you cannot do it yourself, process, go through the process, and the analysis, and analyzing what's going on and addressing it systematically. Then journal it and see what your triggers are. If you cannot do it yourself, then get professional help. But you need to address that stress. If not, it will take over, to send you into depression, and then to send you, as I said before, into a dark hole. Some people even get suicidal, you know, and that's not a nice place to be at all. And that's very preventable with help, very preventable with diet, very preventable, as you said, with correcting your lifestyle, you know, very preventable with trusting in God, and taking everything to Him and just leaning on Him and see Him work it out for you.
Yeah. So we, you know, very important to know your triggers, and very important to know what works best for you. You know, if you find something like, for example, deep breathing exercises, calm you down, you know, keep doing deep breathing exercises, you know, find something that will help you to be able to release that stress, so that stress does not prolong into chronic stress, you know, and then it becomes a vicious cycle, you know. So thank you again for tuning in to Health Talk. And I hope that information was very beneficial for you. We want to thank Dr. Carol so much for all her helpful tips. I hope some of you will try some of the information, the treatments that we have provided, and take care of yourself. Life comes with its stresses. Knowing how to handle stress is the key. And again, subscribe, send me a comment. And again, if you want to get in contact with Dr. Carol, I will put her information there for you. Please call her. Please use Dr. Carol. Very informative, very educational, know the body inside out. Give her a chance. And I know you will be blessed. And I know you will be on your way to recovery. Thanks again for tuning in.